Vice President Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, believes, we just have a problem with toxic masculinity around these here parts. And he is dedicating himself to making sure to speak out against that toxicity in masculine men. Watch.
A moment ago, I asked you about a question about gender roles. I want to dive in even deeper on that. And can we just talk about masculinity for a moment?
These two wusses want to talk about masculinity.
Has being second gentleman changed your own view of perceived gender roles or what it means to be a man?
This is something I've thought about a lot, something I've spoken about a lot. There's too much of toxicity. It's masculine toxicity out there. We've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine, where you've got this trope out there that you've got to be tough and angry and lash out to be strong. It's just the opposite.
Wow, I am definitely, you guys should take your masculinity advice from those two yahoos over there. Definitely. It's fascinating to me because you listen to him say, people say that if you're masculine, you have to be angry and lash out at people. I literally know no one who says that. No one. Masculinity inherently is not toxic. And if you are toxic, that is not behaving in a masculine way, I would argue. Yeah. But I'm not a man. I would also say that he talks about we've confused people. Yes, we have confused people. You're confusing an entire generation of males that they are in fact female. So I'd say maybe that's where the confusion problem is, not confusing them to be more masculine. If anything, we need more masculinity. We need males to be more masculine rather than feminizing them, which is exactly what this guy and his wife, I almost said his husband, same thing. His wife intends to do. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and this is something that's been going on in other aspects or industries as well. There was a story that came out not too long ago about the writers for this whole Dungeons and Dragons show that Christopher Pine's in, and the two writers flat out admitted that they wrote these characters to be emasculated. That's the specific term that they use. Not even making that up. You guys can go look it up yourself. They said they thought it would be funny and fresh, as if we haven't seen so many examples of that.
These are males?
These are males, two male writers that are writing these male characters and to be, emasculated. That's the specific term that they use, because I think that's what they want. Obviously, that's something that their side, look, let's be completely honest. You don't get whatever you want to call whatever the hell this is that we have in American culture that is on the constant decline. If masculinity was something that people, specifically men, obviously took pride in, for lack of better terms, you won't be in the position that you're in right now. You have definitely with this upcoming generation, soft generation, effeminate generation of people that are identifying as very bizarre things these days, being completely confused as they are continuously lectured that somehow their masculinity is a fundamental problem, when it in itself is what made, if you are going to take the good things from what America has been able to enable for all of us as individuals, it has been through these efforts of masculinity, and they are constantly chipping away at that, and they use these figures and things that people see as legitimate sources of information, though I don't think you should consider entertainment that. Unfortunately, a lot of young people do that. This is something I've been trying to get conservatives certainly to understand regarding this whole cultural kind of situation. So all he's doing is paying lip service to really all of their efforts that you see top to bottom, all these institutions, from education, entertainment, and so forth.
It really reveals, too, the background of these people. I mean, the politicians who want to talk about this, no cool person has ever become a politician in general. There are exceptions to this, but the type of person who becomes a career politician, these are the kids who were wearing suits to school. They weren't dating cheerleaders. They were probably getting shoved into lockers by jocks. And so their concept of masculinity is these people are mean to me or whatever. And so they're just waging a war on it. But he has it completely backwards. I mean, what he's describing is when you take feminine behavior and put it into like a male's body. And vice versa too, you know, toxic femininity would be when you have like a woman who's acting like a man, but in the worst way possible. It's just totally backwards. Like masculinity is about being in control of your environment, being in control of your emotions. No one's ever saw a guy get like really mad about something stupid and been like, wow, he's like just like Clint Eastwood. This is so cool. Like there's a time to be angry, there's a time to be tough, but it's not all the time. And the reason too that this is a really dangerous message to sell to young boys is because no one's going to respect them, including themselves, because, you know, we can live in this safe, cushy society or whatever, but if something bad happens, everyone in the room is going to look towards a man, like whoever's, you know, the most physically fit man, probably be like, okay, what are we doing? And if that guy starts melting down, it's over. Like if you've ever been around a family and like a kid falls off a swing or something, kid immediately looks at his dad and is like, well, what do I do? How do I react? If the mom's there and she's like, oh, my baby, then he's going to start crying. But like if it's just the dad, he's going to be like, nah, you're fine. The kid's like, so true. And then just gets back to playing. So that's why it's important.
So you mentioned the concept of toxic femininity.
Yes.
Say that 5 times fast. So I agree with your point. I mean, I would like to, again, make the distinction. I don't think that you can have that. I don't think that there is such a thing as toxic masculinity. I don't think there is such a thing as toxic femininity. But playing into their idea that there is such a thing, we never hear about this toxic femininity from the left, right? We only hear about the toxic masculinity. Nobody seems to want to say that women can, like, be bitches sometimes.
Because they benefit both from women being bitches and men being pussies, because then it just makes people completely like on a. You said it, so I can't.
I didn't say that.
We all want equality, and so the B word's worse, probably.
What? That's not true.
Oh, pusillanimous, men being pusillanimous. That's where it comes from, by the way. Fun fact, a little linguistic history for everybody. They benefit from that because when you have women who are disagreeable, they want to be these girl bosses, all of a sudden, like, men are despondent, the fertility rate, the family, you know, intaction rate is like collapsing. When you have men who are weak, everything else happens because they're too distracted by like media and pop culture to do anything or stand up for anything.
Eric?
Yeah, I mean, that's the honest to God's truth when you talk about this whole toxic femininity thing. But, you know, I go a step further in understanding that a lot of what we have right now that you could point to that's negative has been facilitated by largely women. Let's just be particularly white leftist women. It's funny, we're just talking about this whole Hershey deal. You know what I mean? And I encourage you, don't take my word for anything. Just go look it up. From their marketing departments, go look up who's in charge of these whole campaigns, and you will just see a bunch of white leftist women. You know what I mean? And so
go to the drag brunches and see who's bringing their kids.
Exactly. So, you know, that's something that, you know, we'll talk about toxic femininity, you know, that I think fits the bill for that. But that has to be addressed. I mean, we talked about it for a year with the whole Leah Thomas situation, right? Where you had people that were so scared, women that would much rather be called, it's precisely the opposite. They are scared. They would rather the sanctity of their sport be ruined than be called transphobic. So instead of coming out and being like, this is bullcrap that we have this guy who's bigger than I am, I'm 215, like I'm a built kind of dude. Leah Thomas is bigger than I am, man. And she's obviously dominating them. And then instead of coming out and saying, well, wait a minute, this is wrong, they kind of do it in hiding. They give Outkick or something or some platform, a secret story where they have to be anonymous and say, we're against this, but we never dare to say it public. Well, that's what got you into this situation.
If you like that clip, there is plenty more where that came from. Click the link in the description below to subscribe to the News and Why It Matters YouTube channel to watch the full episode.